If you want to speak and understand more, you'll need to know more words. So, today, you'll discover 5 ways to master vocabulary fast. But first, if you don't yet have access to our language learning system, sign up for a free lifetime account right now. Just click the link in the description to get your free lifetime account. Before we jump into how, just know that when you learn more words, you pretty much improve everything: reading, writing, listening, and speaking. So it's important to always be learning new words across a range of topics so that you can speak fluently in all situations. If you haven't done so already, come up with a specific number of words you'd like to master a month and make that your monthly goal, like 30, 50, or even 100 words a month. Now, let's get to the tips. First, use spaced repetition flashcards. Flashcards are the most popular way to learn, review, and master new words. And more specifically, spaced repetition flashcards. That's because they have a proven learning method built in: spaced repetition. Spaced repetition simply means you repeat what you've learned over a spaced period of time because that's the best way to retain things. Meaning, if you learn a word on day 1, you see it again in 2 days, then in 4 days, in 8 days, and so on. The learning is spaced out over time, and the continued repetition helps push the word into your long-term memory so you never forget it. And that's exactly what our spaced repetition flashcards do for you. You'll find them in the vocabulary menu on the site. There, you can study the 100 core vocabulary, vocabulary from the lessons, or our 2000 core vocabulary list. Second, immerse yourself in conversations and conversation lessons. Another powerful way to pick up new words and phrases is to immerse yourself in the language. That way, you'll always pick up new words. And on top of that, you'll learn the words in the context of everyday conversations, instead of learning them one by one. So, if you're taking the lessons inside our system, in every lesson, you hear a conversation between native speakers. Then our teachers slow it down, explain every word and grammar rule so that you understand it all. And that conversation is repeated 3 times in total, so you remember it better. So you're not just listening to language that's way above your level and not understanding. You grow to understand it because everything is explained right after. You can also listen to the dialogue tracks that give you just the conversation of that lesson without the translations, so you can immerse yourself and just listen. This is one of the best ways to expose yourself to conversation. Actually understand them, even if you don't understand anything at first, and reinforce all the words you've learned. On top of the lessons, you can also immerse yourself in the target language by watching TV shows and listening to music. But unlike the lessons, you won't get the language explained, and this approach may be too hard for beginners. But if you're at an upper intermediate level, or above where you can learn through context and understand most of it, then this method can work just as well. Third, read every day. How often do you read in your target language? Reading is another way you can immerse yourself in the language and boost your vocabulary, because you'll always come across new words. But what should you read? And how do you find easy material for your level? Because what's the point if it's too hard for you? With our program, you can find extensive reading books inside the lesson library. These are quick and easy books from absolute beginner level up to intermediate that you can finish in a few minutes. And extensive reading is simply a strategy where you read and finish as many books as possible. At the absolute beginner level, these are simple 1 or 2 sentence per page books, making it easy for you to read through and pick up new words. Another way to memorize words fast is by learning songs in your target language. You can make a monthly goal to memorize 1 to 3 songs you like in your target language. Just search for the lyrics to a song you like, and as you listen to the song, read the lyrics. This can help you connect the sounds you're hearing with the characters or the letters you're reading. Remember, the key is to find a fun way to read every day. This will help you improve your vocabulary. Fourth, get quizzed on vocabulary regularly. I know, no one likes quizzes and tests after experiencing them in school, but getting tested on what you've learned is actually one of the best ways to remember what you learn and improve your memory. This is a proven learning method called active recall. All it means is when you try to remember something, you actually start to remember it better. So, if you're trying to remember the meaning of a word on a test, that's when your memory gets stronger. That's when you're flexing your brain muscles, or rather, neurons. So, how can you do it? If you're using the flashcards that I mentioned earlier, flashcards do that for you. They test you on the meanings of the words. You can flip the card over to see if you got the word correct or not. So, be sure to use flashcards. Next, if you're taking the lessons and following the learning pathway in our program, you'll automatically get tested after every few lessons. Just follow the pathway, take the lessons, and testing is done for you. You'll get multiple choice assessments after every few lessons that test you on the words and grammar you learned. That way, you won't forget what you've learned as you make your way down the pathway. Fifth, get new vocabulary and phrases sent to you automatically, the lazy way to learn words. So far, all of the methods mentioned are extremely powerful at helping you learn new words. But they all require work. And if you're lazy, busy, or just new to language learning, chances are there will be days when you won't want to drill flashcards or read. And that's a problem, because language learning needs to become an automatic habit. And if you're not doing it automatically, without thinking, you'll forever struggle with trying to learn. The good news is that you can get new words and phrases sent to you automatically every day so that you don't have to lift a finger and boost your vocabulary in the process. And you can do that with our free Word of the Day service, where every day we email you a new word along with sample sentences. This is the easiest and the laziest way to boost your vocabulary, and it takes less than a minute, because all you have to do is glance at the word and you're done. But the best part is you automatically get new words every single day so that your vocabulary is always improving. The system is automatic. All you have to do is join it. And as a side bonus, it helps you create a language learning habit because you're automatically learning new words. On top of that, you'll also get timely vocab and phrase lists every week via email. If it's wintertime, you'll get winter-related words and phrases. If Halloween is coming up, you'll get words for Halloween. It's that simple. Again, all of this is done and sent automatically if you're a member. That way, you don't have to go chasing down material or trying to figure out what to do and how to learn. So, to recap, use flashcards. Immerse yourself in conversations and conversation lessons. Read every day. Get quizzed on vocabulary regularly. Get new words sent to you automatically. These tips are fun and effective ways to help you reach your vocabulary goals a bit faster. So, if you want to learn the language and get access to these learning tools and our learning system, sign up for a free lifetime account right now. Just click the link in the description to get your free lifetime account.
Hi everybody, welcome back to Ask Alicia, the weekly series where you ask me questions and I answer them. Maybe. Let's get to your first question this week. First question this week comes from Tamid. Hi Tamid. Tamid says, is there any difference between I asked you to call me and I told you to call me? Yes, there is a difference. The difference is in the feeling. So when we ask someone to do something, it's a request, right? The other person can say yes or no, right? If I ask you to call me, it's a request. Like, will you please call me? is a request, right? The person can say, yes, I'll call you, or sorry, I don't have time to call you, right? So when we say, I asked you to call me in past tense, it sounds just like I made a request, right? And so maybe the other person, I don't know, was busy or something happened and they weren't able to do that. Let's compare this to I told you to call me. So when we tell someone to do something, it's like a one-way kind of situation. When I tell someone to do something, it doesn't feel like a request. It feels like a demand, like this is something you must do. So if I say, I told you to call me, it might be somebody that is like above me at work, or maybe it's my mother and I'm a young person, a very young person, or maybe it's someone in my life that is very like strict, or maybe they're kind of a controlling person. I told you to call me. So the feeling with I told you to do something is that it is not a request. The other side doesn't get to say, oh, I was busy, or sorry, I can't call you right now. There's not really space for that kind of reaction. That's kind of the feeling with I told you to call me. It sounds like a demand, an order. So that's why you might hear it in a work situation from like a boss or someone above you at work, or maybe in your family, someone who is kind of more senior than you in your family. But if you hear this from somebody that's like your coworker, or maybe like a relationship partner or a friend or something like that, it sounds more like a demand, like they expected this behavior of you, not a request, not something you can negotiate. So this is the difference with I asked you to call me and I told you to call me. So I would imagine in most situations, at least for me, I would probably choose to use I asked you to call me in my daily life if I had this kind of situation, unless I was very close with the person and wanted to make a joke, like I told you to call me, why didn't you, in kind of a joking voice. That's maybe the only situation I personally would use I told you to call me in. In other situations, I would probably say, I asked you to call me. What happened? You know, wanting some more information about the other person's experience. So this is the difference between I asked you and I told you. One sounds like a request. The other person has maybe their own things to do. And the other one doesn't sound like a request. It sounds like an order or a demand. So I hope that this helps you understand the difference between these two. Thanks for an interesting question. Okay, let's move on to your next question. Next question comes from Nova. Hi, Nova. Nova says, how do we use the expression with that being said? I heard it on a TV show and the meaning wasn't clear. Okay, yeah. So with that being said is something that is used in like meeting situations and discussion situations when people are kind of sharing their opinions or maybe sharing an argument, like they're talking about maybe 2 or maybe 3 or more different sides of a topic. So when people say, with that being said, it's like saying, this point has been explained. So that's what the that in that being said refers to. So someone makes point A. This is a very important point. And the speaker knows that, okay, we explained point A. I want to move on to the next point. They can say, with that being said, I'd now like to talk about point B. So it's like saying, okay, now we all know this, we all have this information. Now that we explained that, now that we said that. So that's where the being said comes in. Being said refers to the state of having been explained. So in other words, the status is it was said. It has been said. It is being said. That's what we use this expression to describe. So now that that has been explained, I want to talk about the next point. So we use with that being said to move on to the next part of the conversation, like the next topic, the next maybe important thing that needs to be discussed. So when we say with that being said, on to the next thing. That's kind of like the maybe like a natural way to move forward in a meeting or a discussion situation. So that's what this means. You'll hear this a lot in TV shows and like movies, other kind of like discussion and debate-related media. So I hope that this answers your question. Thanks very much for sending it along. Okay, let's move on to your next question. Next question comes from Muhammad Sarwar. Hi, Muhammad. Muhammad says, what is meant by trolling someone or stalking someone? Ooh, heavy question, dark question here. So trolling and stalking are not good things. Neither of these things are good. Let's start with trolling someone. So we usually use trolling when we're talking about online activities. So So in maybe offline activities, sometimes we use the word prank or to tease someone. But in online activities, when we troll someone, we are specifically writing mean things or sometimes sort of funny things. Basically, we're trying to make another person angry, or we're trying to upset another person through writing like strange comments or hurtful comments, mean comments, something like that. So on Twitter, you might see like, so many people trolled me when I posted my picture on Twitter. So when you troll someone, it means that you're trying to make them feel bad about themselves, or you're trying to make them feel bad about the situation. So it's kind of a form of online bullying. So when we troll someone, it's generally not considered a good thing. Occasionally, you might do this on purpose with your friends, your close friends, just kind of to tease them a little bit. But when you do it online, like to strangers, to people you don't know, that's when it's really considered trolling and it's a negative activity. So this may or may not be connected to the second part of your question, stalking. So we can have online stalking and in-person stalking. They both refer to the same thing. So stalking refers to checking on someone's activities. So that means, where are they going? Who are they meeting? What kinds of things are they doing? Like, what do they listen to for music? Like, you try to find out everything about the person. If it's in real life, maybe some people will follow that person around, like trying to take pictures of them or something. So these are both very negative activities to do, to try to find everything out about somebody and maybe use that information like to try to get close to them in many cases. So you might see examples of like celebrities that have stalkers. So a stalker is someone that tries to find information about a person, a celebrity, and tries to meet them or tries to become their friend or something like that. So these are all negative behaviors that are socially not acceptable. So people who do this are often caught by the police when they're celebrity stalkers, because they try to get into celebrities' houses or maybe try to do something inappropriate with the celebrity. So even in cases when there's not a celebrity involved, even if it's just a normal person, these kinds of stalking behaviors are considered unacceptable socially. So sometimes people who engage in stalking behaviors also do like things like trolling as well. So both of these behaviors are considered very socially unacceptable. To stalk somebody and to try to gather information about them or to follow them around is not considered a healthy or good behavior, and it's not safe for the other person. And of course, trolling is also considered largely a form of internet bullying, so it's not a good socially acceptable behavior either. So I hope that none of our viewers do either of those things, but that is the difference between trolling and stalking. So trolling is usually just writing messages online, and stalking refers to trying to gather information and trying to follow someone or meet someone. So I hope that this answers your question. I hope nobody has to deal with either of these problems, but thanks very much for sending this interesting question along. Okay, that is everything that I have for this week, so thank you as always for sending your interesting questions. Remember, you can send them to me at englishclass101.com/ask-Alicia. That is a very long URL, so you can find the link for this in the YouTube description. Please send your questions there and not in a YouTube comment, not in a Facebook comment or an Instagram DM or in a Twitter, I don't even know where. Just send them on the official question submission page. I will 100% for sure read your message if you send it to me there. So please do. Also, if you like this lesson, please don't forget to give it a thumbs up, and of course, subscribe to this channel if you haven't already. Also, check us out at englishclass101.com for some other things that can help you with your English studies. Thanks very much for watching this episode of Ask Alicia, and I will see you again next time. Bye!
Are you struggling to understand conversations in your target language? This video will improve your listening skills using practice dialogues. How do you know if your language skills are improving? Our team of teachers have designed a free quiz to determine your actual learning level. So click the link in the description to get your free assessment and unlock lessons that are right for you. In this lesson, you'll listen to a dialogue with the text. Second, you'll review the key vocabulary, followed by the English translations. And finally, you'll review the dialogue with the text again to master what you learned. First, listen to the dialogue with the text on the screen.
Hey, David. We'll be landing in Dallas soon. More warm weather for you.
Thanks, Ashley, but we're not even getting off the plane in Dallas. We're just making a connection to Houston.
I know, but you get to stand by the door this time saying goodbye to the passengers. You'll be able to feel the nice warm Dallas air.
Hey, thanks. I'm moving up.
Just a piece of advice, though. Make sure to have a glass of water nearby. You'll need it after saying goodbye, and thanks for flying with us 300 times.
Now you will hear the key vocabulary, followed by the English translation.
100.
Cardinal number.
Passengers.
A traveler on a public or private trip that isn't the driver.
Glass.
The amount of drink contained in a glass.
Feel. To be aware of something.
Air.
The invisible gas surrounding the Earth.
Able.
Having the power, skill, ability, or opportunity to do something.
Stand.
Have or maintain an upright position.
Weather forecast.
Prediction of the weather for the near future.
Connecting.
Bringing together or into contact so that a link is established.
Goodbye. Said when parting.
Finally, let's review the dialogue again. See if you can understand more this time.
Hey, David. We'll be landing in Dallas soon. More warm weather for you.
Thanks, Ashley, but we're not even getting off the plane in Dallas. We're just making a connection to Houston.
I know, but you get to stand by the door this time saying goodbye to the passengers. You'll be able to feel the nice warm Dallas air.
Hey, thanks. I'm moving up.
Just a piece of advice, though. Make sure to have a glass of water nearby. You'll need it after saying goodbye, and thanks for flying with us 300 times.
This is the end of the lesson. In this lesson, you improved your listening and mastered key vocabulary for everyday life conversation. Don't forget to click the link in the description to get your free assessment and unlock lessons that are right for your learning level. Keep practicing and move on to the next lesson.
This is the A sound. This is the E sound, and this is the A sound. By the end of this lesson, you'll be able to tell them apart. Plus, you'll be practicing them and on your way to perfect pronunciation. I'm Alicia, and this is English pronunciation through minimal pairs. First is A. This is the sound in ate, able, late, and other words. Next is E. This is the E sound in bed, met, read, and other words. A is the sound in bad, mat, rad, and other words. All three sounds are front vowels and so are pronounced in the front part of your mouth. To make the A sound, from a relaxed position, the lips and teeth part. The tip of the tongue moves forward and up, and we release the sound. The throat is open. A. 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 To make the sound, the lips and teeth are apart. The tip of the tongue moves near the top of the lower teeth. The tongue moves forward slightly. Eh. 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 To make the sound, the teeth are wide apart and the lips pull back slightly. The tip of the tongue goes to the base of the teeth. The back of the tongue moves up. The throat constricts slightly. Ah. 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 These sounds are quite similar, but is more open than and is more open than a. Also, when it's pronounced, the tongue position for is lower than for a and e. Listen to the difference and repeat after me. A, a, ah. A, ah. A, ah. A, ah. A, ah. A, ah. Listen and repeat, or speak along with me. Ready? Hate, hat. Hate, hat. Bail, bell. Bail, bell. Mate, met, mat. Mate, met, mat. Bed, bad. Bed, bad. Said, sad. Said, sad. Let's review. Respond to the prompts by speaking aloud. Then repeat after me, focusing on pronunciation. Do you remember the sound that's most open? Ah. Ah. And the most closed sound? A. A. And the middle sound? Eh. Eh. Let's practice. Compare the sounds in these two words. Which word has the more open sound and which has the more closed sound? Met, mat. Met, mat. Met has the more closed sound and mat has the more open sound. Let's try another. Bad, bed. Bad, bed. Bad has the more open sound and bed has the more closed sound. Let's try another. Said, sad. Said, sad. Said has the more closed sound and sad has the more open sound. Let's try another. Ate, said. Ate, said. Ate has the more closed sound and said has the more open sound. Let's try another. Mate, met. Mate, met. Mate has the more closed sound and met has the more open sound. Let's try one more. Bet, bait. Bet, bait. Bet has the more open sound and bait has the more closed sound. Now, listen to this sentence. Which words have the more open sound and which have the more closed sound? She promised to bake cookies when he got back. Now, try to read the sentence out loud, focusing on the different sounds. She promised to bake cookies when he got back. Let's try one more. Which words have the more open sound and which have the more closed sound? He had a bad day, so he went straight to bed. Now, try to read the sentence out loud, focusing on the different sounds. He had a bad day, so he went straight to bed. Let's try another. Which words have the more open sound and which have the more closed sound? She added spices to aid flavor. Now, try to read the sentence out loud, focusing on the different sounds. She added spices to aid flavor. And the last one. Which words have the more open sound and which have the more closed sound? Kate adopted a cat. Now try to read the sentence out loud, focusing on the different sounds. Kate adopted a cat. This is the sound, and this is the sound. By the end of this lesson, you'll be able to tell them apart. Plus, you'll be practicing them and on your way to perfect pronunciation. I'm Alicia, and this is English pronunciation through minimal pairs. First is oo. This is the sound in cool, shoe, to, and other words. Is the sound in look, cook, sugar, and other words. Oo and are both high back vowels and so are pronounced in the high back part of your mouth. To make the oo sound, the teeth separate slightly and the lips make a tight O shape. The tip of the tongue is near the base of the bottom teeth and the back of the tongue moves up and to the rear of the mouth. Oo. Ooh. 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 To make the sound, the lips move to a relaxed O position. The teeth are slightly apart and the tongue moves back in the mouth. The throat is open. The jaw and lower lip move forward slightly and we release the sound. Uh. 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 These sounds are quite similar, but the is shorter than the oo. Listen to the difference and repeat after me. Ooh. 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 Listen and repeat, or speak along with me. Ready? Look. Luke. Look. Luke. Full. Fool. Full. Fool. Let's review. Respond to the prompts by speaking aloud. Then repeat after me, focusing on pronunciation. Do you remember the sound that's shorter? And the longer sound? Ooh. Ooh. Let's practice. Compare the sounds in these two words. Which word has the shorter sound and which has the longer sound? Look. Luke. Look. Luke. Look has the shorter sound and Luke has the longer sound. Let's try another. Full. fool, full, fool. Full has the shorter sound and fool has the longer sound. Now, listen to this sentence. Which words have the shorter sound and which have the longer sound? The children pull each other into the pool. Now, try to read the sentence out loud, focusing on the different sounds. The children pull each other into the pool. Let's try another. Which words have the shorter sound and which have the longer sound? The teacher took a look at Luke's homework. Now try to read the sentence out loud, focusing on the different sounds. The teacher took a look at Luke's homework. Let's try one more. Which words have the shorter sound and which have the longer sound? She felt full, but he felt like a fool. Now, try to read the sentence out loud, focusing on the different sounds. She felt full, but he felt like a fool. This is the O sound, and this is the ah sound. By the end of this lesson, you'll be able to tell them apart. Plus, you'll be practicing them and on your way to perfect pronunciation. I'm Alicia, and this is English pronunciation through minimal pairs. First is O. This is the sound in goat, low, though, and other words. Ah is the sound in all, want, saw, and other words. O and ah are both mid-back vowels and so are pronounced in the mid-back part of your mouth. To make the O sound, part the teeth and move the tongue back slightly. Release the sound as you move your lips into a small O shape. O. 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 To make the ah sound, the lips move to a loose O position. The teeth are slightly apart and the tongue moves to the back of the mouth. Ah. 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 These sounds are quite similar, but the ah is more open than the O. Listen to the difference and repeat after me. O. Ah. O. Ah. O. Ah. O. Ah. O. Ah. Ah. Listen and repeat, or speak along with me. Ready? Goat, got. Goat, got. Boat, bought. Boat, bought. Let's review. Respond to the prompts by speaking aloud. Then repeat after me, focusing on pronunciation. Do you remember the sound that's more open? Ah. Ah. And the more closed sound? Oh. Oh. Let's practice. Compare the sounds in these two words. Which word has the more open sound and which has the more closed sound? Goat, got. Goat, got. Goat has the more closed sound, and got has the more open sound. Let's try another. Boat, bought. Boat, bought. Bought has the more open sound, and boat has the more closed sound. Now, listen to this sentence. Which words have the more open sound and which have the more closed sound? Her hope rises as she hops into the car. Now try to read the sentence out loud, focusing on the different sounds. Her hope rises as she hops into the car. Let's try one more. Which words have the more open sound and which have the more closed sound? You ought to eat oats more often. You ought to eat oats more often. Let's try another. Which words have the more open sound and which have the more closed sound? I bought a new boat, but I want a bigger one. I bought a new boat, but I want a bigger one. Hi everybody, my name is Alicia. In this video, I'm going to talk about 10 creative ways you can wish someone a happy birthday. Of course, we know how to say happy birthday to express this idea to someone else, but how can you make this message a little more personal? Let's look at 10 ideas. Let's start over here. First is this expression. I hope it's the start of a great year for you. I hope it's the start of a great year for you. So typically we say something like this after we say happy birthday. So at native speed, this would sound like happy birthday. I hope it's the start of a great year for you. This it's refers to your birthday. I hope it is. So I hope your birthday this year is the start of a great year for you. Okay, the next expression is congratulations on another trip around the sun. Congratulations on another trip around the sun. So this trip around the sun refers to the Earth moving around the sun one time, so 1 year on Earth. So this is kind of a funny way to say you went around the Earth, or rather you went around the sun one time. Great job, congratulations. So make sure you use congratulations on. in this expression. Congratulations on another. Make sure to use another here, yeah? Not other. Congratulations on another trip around the sun. Okay, next one. A very sincere and simple expression. Happy birthday. Wishing you a great day. Wishing you a great day. Please note, we don't use wish you a great day. I wish you a great day. You might say, I hope you have a great day. That's quite nice, like we use I hope up here. But this one, wishing you a great day sounds like in this moment. I am wishing you a great day. But interestingly, we generally don't say I am wishing you a great day. We often start this expression with just wishing. So wishing you a great day. Okay, the next expression is happy birthday to a great friend. What would I do without you? So this is a really sincere and kind expression that you can use, in this case, for a great friend. Of course, you could change this to someone else that's important in your life. Happy birthday to my wonderful mother, for example, or happy birthday to my favorite coworker, whatever. You can choose a different expression here to refer to the person you're speaking with. But this expression is very nice. What would I do without you? What would I do without you means if I did not have you in my life, what would I do? I don't know what I would do. So this is like saying you're very important to me. I don't know what my life would be like if I did not have you. So this is a very nice, very sincere expression. Okay, next one is a little bit funny. Happy birthday! You're another year older and wiser, hopefully. So, you're another year older. So, another year older means you have gone up 1 year. You have become 1 year older. And this one is a little funny. And wiser, hopefully. So to be wise means to have lots of knowledge about the world, right? To have lots of life experience. Someone who is wise has lots of life experience and can deal with the challenges and the ups and downs of life. So hopefully this person is saying you became older and you're a little wiser now too. So you have some more life experience that you can use to make your life better, hopefully. So adding hopefully here shows a little bit of a joking feeling too. A little wiser, hopefully. So I hope that you learned something this year. So these are some very sincere expressions and some very kind of cheeky expressions. Some expressions that have kind of a joking feel, a little bit of a joking feel, but are still very positive. Okay, let's go to the other side. On this side, we have a couple of expressions for people who like to party on their birthday. For example, happy birthday, don't go too crazy at your party. So this don't go too crazy at your party means the other person has a birthday party plan. And the speaker is saying, don't go too crazy. So that means have fun, but don't do too much. Don't go too crazy at your birthday party. Here's another one that's more sincere. Happy birthday. You mean the world to me. Happy birthday. You mean the world to me. You mean the world to me. It's like saying you in my life is so important to me. You are like my world. So you would say this to someone who is very, very close to you. Maybe like your parent, or maybe your husband or wife, boyfriend or girlfriend, someone who is very, very important in your life. You mean the world to me. Okay, the next one. Have an awesome day. I'm so glad we're friends. Have an awesome day. I'm so glad we're friends. I use this one with my close friends. I've received this message from my friends before too. So when you want to wish someone a happy birthday and wish someone in a very positive way and confirm and express that you are happy to be friends with that person, you can use this. Have an awesome day. I'm so glad we're friends. You could use this with a coworker, I suppose, too, like, have an awesome day. I'm so glad we have the chance to work together. Something like that could be very positive, very friendly, and express that you like working with that person. So this is very nice. I'm so glad we're friends, or I'm so happy we're friends. Okay, the next one. Another kind of party-related expression. Let's pop the champagne and celebrate. Let's pop the champagne and celebrate. So this pop the champagne. Champagne is a drink that we often have at formal occasions. So like weddings or other big celebrations. It's in a big bottle, and to pop the champagne means to open the champagne. We say pop the champagne because when we open champagne, it makes a sound, a really big sound, a pop sound. So we say, let's pop the champagne and celebrate. So let's have some champagne to celebrate. It's a way of saying, let's have a party and celebrate your birthday. Finally, one more party expression. Happy birthday. Let's get the party started. Let's get the party started. So that means someone is very eager to have the birthday party. Like, let's enjoy, let's celebrate together. Let's get the party started. So we use this verb to get. Let's get the party started. This is like a set expression. You could say, let's start the party, but this let's get the party started sounds a little bit more like kind of rough and casual and fun. Let's get the party started. So here are a few expressions you can use for people who like to have big birthday parties when they turn another year older. Okay, great. So those are 10 creative ways that you can wish someone a happy birthday. I hope that you found something interesting. And of course, there are many other ways that you can wish someone a happy birthday. You can be as creative as you want to be, depending on the person you're talking to. If you have some ideas, you can leave them in the comment section of this video. If you like this lesson, please don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to this channel if you haven't already. Also, check us out at EnglishClass101.com for some other things to help you with your English studies. Thanks very much for watching this lesson, and I will see you again soon. Bye! Hi everybody, my name is Alicia. In this video, I'm going to talk about 6 ways to use the word as. Let's get started. Okay, the first use I want to talk about is to show the role or the purpose of someone or something. We often use this as before job titles or other roles in our community, in our company, or in an organization. We can also use this as to express the way we use something or the purpose of something. Let's look at some examples. First, a job example. He's been working as a salesman for about 6 years. He's been working as a salesman. So this as comes before the job title. And in this case, we have our article before salesman. He's been working as a salesman for about 6 years. So we do this to show the person's role. We do the same thing in our second example sentence. She was hired as the new creative director. She was hired as the new creative director. So in this case, we have as the new creative director. So this is the job title, creative director, and we have new to show it's a new position or a new role. We also have the here. So the shows that there's just one creative director. She was hired as the new creative director. As comes before all of this. This is one phrase expressing this new role. Okay, now let's look at this use of as to talk about a purpose. So this room can be used as a meeting room or as a break room. This room can be used as a meeting room or as a break room. So in this case, we are talking about the purpose of a room. So a multi-purpose room. We can use this room for many different things. In this case, we can use this room as, so for the purpose of a meeting room, or as a break room. So this shows the different functions or the different purposes. So we can use as in this way to express our roles, our jobs, and the ways that we use different things. Okay, so with this in mind, let's continue to use number 2, which is quite different. Use number 2 is as to mean while or to mean at the same time. So in this case, we have 2 things occurring at about the same point in time, and we want to express that. So first example here, they arrived as we were leaving. So these 2 actions are they arrived, past tense, as we were leaving. So this means maybe we're in the process, or we were in the process of leaving. We were still there, but we were just about to go. So we connect these with as to show that these 2 situations or these 2 actions happened at about the same time. So we can think of this as kind of like while or at the same time. Let's look at the second example. The fire alarm started ringing as we sat down in the restaurant. The fire alarm started ringing as we sat down in the restaurant. So again, we're showing two actions happening at about the same time. So the fire alarm started ringing at the same time as we sat down at the restaurant. So we use as to do this. Please note we cannot replace as with while here. For example, the fire alarm started ringing while we sat down in the restaurant. We wouldn't use it in this way. While we tend to use with progressive actions that are happening at the same time. So we tend to use while when we talk about two continuing actions happening at the same time. We're seeing in these situations, in these cases, we have a simple past tense action and a progressive action. Same thing here, a simple past tense action and a progressive action. So we don't use as and while in exactly the same way, but they do communicate the same feeling of two things happening at about the same time. Okay, let's look at the last example. She smiled as she walked across the stage. She smiled as she walked across the stage. So in this case, we have, again, a simple past tense action. And in this one, the second part, we also have a simple past tense action. So in this sentence, we might hear some people using while in place of as in she smiled while she walked across the stage. That's because these parts match in terms of the grammar, in terms of the tense used. But me personally, I think I would probably still use as in this case instead of while, because while sounds a little more natural if we use it with the continuous or the progressive form. So for example, she was smiling while she was walking across the stage. Might sound a little bit more natural. But in this case, I would use as to mean these two things happened at the same time. Okay, great. So we have our first two uses showing the role of someone or the purpose of something. And we have two things happening about the same time, or that two things happened at about the same time. Let's go to use number 3 now. So use number 3 is to express a cause and a result. So in this use, we are connecting some kind of action and that expresses the cause of something. And then we also see the outcome or the result of that thing. I want to note that this use is a little bit formal. It may even sound a little bit old-fashioned, but we do still use it from time to time, so it's important to understand this use. So let's look at the examples. First, he went to bed early as he had an important meeting in the morning. He went to bed early as he had an important meeting in the morning. So here we have our two independent ideas. He went to bed early, one, this is the action, as he had an important meeting in the morning. This is the cause of this result, okay? So we have the reason for something. You can think of this as in the same way as because, right? He went to bed early because he had an important meeting in the morning. So typically in today's English, we use because a lot in this position. But every once in a while, we maybe want to sound a little more formal or a little old-fashioned. Every once in a while, we use as to express the same idea. Again, we have this cause and result relationship. Let's look at the next example. She prepared a mountain of food as she was expecting many guests at her party. She prepared a mountain of food as she was expecting many guests at her party. So again, we have this cause-result relationship. She prepared a mountain of food. This is the result, the outcome. And why? She was expecting many guests at her party. This is the cause. So again, we can think of this as meaning because. She prepared a lot of food because she was expecting a lot of guests at her party. So as expresses the same idea. Okay, let's look at the last example for this group. They decided to move to a bigger house as they were planning to have a family. They decided to move to a bigger house as they were planning to have a family. So again, we have this result and the cause. So again, we have this because type meaning here. They decided to move to a bigger house because they were planning to have a family. So again, although we use because a lot more in today's English, sometimes people still choose to use this as to connect their ideas that express the cause and the result of something. So it's good to know this one. Okay, great. Let's continue to number 4. Number 4 is very interesting. We use this use of as to express two changes happening at the same time. So this is a bit different from point number 2. I talked about two things that happen at about the same time, two separate actions. The key here with number 4, though, is that two things are changing at the same time. For example, two things are increasing or two things are decreasing, or maybe one thing is increasing and the other thing is decreasing at the same time. The key with this use is change, and we'll also see there are some specific grammar patterns we tend to use with this type of as. So let's take a look. First one. As you get older, it gets harder and harder to lose weight. As you get older, it gets harder and harder to lose weight. So this is expressing as you get older, so as your age increases. We are talking about one change here. And then it gets harder and harder. So it gets more and more difficult. It becomes more and more difficult to lose weight. So the difficulty increases. So we're talking about one point, increasing in age as you get older, and the other thing, trying to lose weight or getting more and more difficult to lose weight. So we're expressing two changes happening at the same time. We also see this as something, something, comma, it gets comparative, comparative. This is another common pattern that we see with this type of as use. We'll see another example in number 2 here. So let's read it. The air got colder and colder as we climbed up the mountain. The air got colder and colder as we climbed up the mountain. So again, we have two things changing. One, the air gets colder and colder. So it means the air is becoming cold, right? We do this repetition for emphasis. The air got colder and colder is thing 1, changing. 2, as we climbed up the mountain. So we are going up the mountain, climbing up the mountain. These two things, these two changes are happening at the same time. We express this, we connect these ideas with and. So this sentence follows the same kind of pattern as the first one, but we can move this as section to the end of the sentence. In this case, I could say, as we climbed up the mountain, the air got colder and colder, and it's still 100% correct. It's up to you to choose which part you want to emphasize. Generally, the part at the beginning of the sentence is going to sound like it has a little bit more emphasis. So you can choose which position is best for you. Okay, let's look at one more example. As airline ticket costs increase, the number of people traveling decreases. So again, we have two things changing here. As airline ticket costs increase, as they go up, the number of people traveling decreases. So in this case, we have changes in two directions. Costs increase, travelers decrease. The number of travelers decrease. We express that these two changes are happening at the same time with this as pattern. So a good way to know that this is the one that's being used is that this as will come at the beginning of this sentence as an introductory clause, like this as something something, comma, that's a good hint, plus this comparative form, harder and harder or colder and colder. That's one big hint that this is the changes at the same time kind of as. So keep in mind that this one, again, is used to express changes happening at the same time. The one we talked about in number 2 expresses two actions that happened sometimes in the past, or sometimes they happened or they were happening at the same time, but not just changes. So that's the key difference between 2 and 4. Okay, great. So let's continue to the last 2 points. The last 2 points are some basic grammar review points. So number 5, we use as for comparison. So this is a very basic English grammar point, but let's review it very quickly because sometimes people, I think, forget parts of these sentences. So we use as in a couple of different patterns. We use as to express that two things are equal with this pattern. So noun A is as adjective or sometimes adverb as noun B, right? So this thing is as something as noun B. Or we can also express a comparison with a negative, not as something, okay? So A is not as adjective as B, for example. So we use this as pattern to describe things that are equal and to make some comparisons. So let's review with a couple of examples. First, Your house is as big as a celebrity's house. Your house is as big as a celebrity's house. So that's like saying your house is the same size as a celebrity's house. Maybe it's really big, right? So the problem sometimes we see, I think maybe learners get a little bit confused about as and than, right? So we use than a lot when we make comparisons, like your house is bigger than my house, for example. But when we want to show that two things are equal, we use this as around our adjective, no than here, okay? So use this to express that two things are equal. Noun one, your house. Noun two, celebrity's house. Connect them to show they are equal with as big as. Okay, great. Let's look at a couple more examples. First, or second rather, this taco shop is not as good as the one in our neighborhood. So this is a negative, right? This taco shop is not as good as the one in our neighborhood. So in this sentence, this taco shop here, not as good, lower quality than the taco shop in our neighborhood, right? We show this relationship with not as good as, okay? Again, we have as on both sides of the adjective here. We do not use than in this sentence. Okay, let's look at our last example. The weather today is not as bad as it was yesterday. The weather today is not as bad as it was yesterday. Again, this means today's weather is not as bad as it was yesterday. So another way to express this, yesterday's weather was really, really terrible. Today's is okay. So again, we're following the adjective with as here. So as on both sides. So keep in mind that this is a very common pattern for as. Okay, let's finish off this lesson with point number 6. So point number 6, I wanted to focus on this expression, as long as, because I think it's sometimes very confusing. What does this mean? Does this have to do with length? Sometimes, yes, we can use this in this pattern actually, like this marker is as long as that marker, which means they are of equal length. However, we have this as long as expression, which means only if. It acts as part of a conditional expression. So let's look at some examples of this. First, as long as I save money for 6 months, I'll be able to buy a car this year. As long as I save money for 6 months, I'll be able to buy a car this year. So what does this mean? As long as I save money for 6 months. So we can understand this as only if. Only if I save money for 6 months, I'll be able to buy a car this year. That means I must do this thing. I must do this thing in the as long as clause in order to make this thing possible, okay? In order to make this main clause possible. I'll be able to do this thing, okay? So we use as long as to mean only in this case, all right? So you'll notice this comes at the beginning of the sentence, at least if this clause is first. Okay, so let's take a look at another position that we see as long as used in. 2, you can go to the party as long as you finish your homework. You can go to the party as long as you finish your homework. So in this case, we have our main clause here. You can go to the party as long as, or only if, you finish your homework. So this is something a parent might say to a child, right? So again, only if you finish your homework. That's what as long as expresses here. All right, let's finish up the last example sentence. We'll arrive at the airport on time as long as there's no traffic. Okay, once more. We'll arrive at the airport on time as long as there's no traffic. So again, we can replace as long as with only if to understand this. We'll arrive at the airport on time only if there's no traffic, right? Only in this situation or only if this is true, right? So this is the use of as long as. We understand this as only if, and I hope that this helps you to see the different positions in the sentence that as long as takes in comparison to the comparative form of as long as. So pay attention to the location of as long as to help you understand whether it's a comparison or it's an only if construction. Okay, great. So those are 6 different ways to use the word as. They are very different. There are many very different uses of as, but I hope that this lesson gave you a good introduction to the various ways that we can put as into our sentences. So of course, if you have any questions or comments, or if you want to practice making some example sentences with the word as, please feel free to do so in the comment section of this video. Also, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to this channel. Also, don't forget to check us out at EnglishClass101.com for some other things that can help you with your English studies. Thanks very much for watching this lesson, and I will see you again next time. Bye! Hi everybody, my name is Alicia. In this video, I'm going to talk about how to make embedded questions in English. Let's get started. First, let's take a look at what an embedded question even is. What is an embedded question? An embedded question is a question inside another question or inside a sentence. Embedded questions are used to make questions softer or more polite. So in this lesson, I'm going to compare embedded questions, questions that are inside something else, with direct questions. So we can see how we need to change the questions in order to make this inside type of question. So let's start by making these 2 sets. So the first one is this direct question set. So here are some samples of just very, very basic direct questions. What time does the bus leave? What time does the bus leave? Very basic question, information question, right? Or who ate my sandwich? Who ate my sandwich? Again, very simple, basic question. One more, what is the password? What is the password? These are simple, basic, direct questions. Then let's compare this to embedded questions. So let's change these direct questions and put them inside another question or another statement. And let's take a look at what happens to the questions when we do this. So the first direct question was, what time does the bus leave? In an embedded question, for example, we could say, can you tell me what time the bus leaves? Can you tell me what time the bus leaves? So you can see this question, what time the bus leaves, is different from the direct question. What time does the bus leave? We have different word order and different words used here. We're going to talk about why this is in the middle of today's lesson. Let's look for the time being at the second example though. Who ate my sandwich in this direct form? And in the embedded form, do you know who ate my sandwich? Do you know who ate my sandwich? So here we have do you know to introduce the embedded question. And in this case, we have who ate my sandwich. No change. There's a reason for this as well. We'll talk about later. Lastly, what is the password? What is the password? In an embedded question, it might look like this. I'd like to know what the password is. I'd like to know what the password is. So again, this part, the question, what the password is, this is different from what is the password. So we're going to break down the reasons for these changes and introduce the rules so that you can make your own embedded questions. First, let's start by looking at this type of sentence. What is the password? This is an example of a direct question that uses the verb be. So to be, meaning is, or are, or was, or were. When you have a question that uses the be verb, we need to follow a certain type of rule. And that is, we move the be verb after the subject when we make an embedded question. So for example, when we saw, what is the password? We needed to change that in our embedded question. So the verb comes after the subject. This is what we see here. I'd like to know what the password is. So in this case, the verb comes after the subject, the password. This is the same rule we need to follow for other questions that use the be verb. So let's take a look at 3 more examples. First, where are the car keys? Where are the car keys? Here is my be verb. So we need to move this after the subject to create an embedded question. Here's my sample. Can you tell me where the car keys are? So here is my embedded question. I'm starting the question, can you tell me? And the basic question is here. The direct question is here with the new grammar. Can you tell me where the car keys are? So a very common mistake is learners don't move the be verb to the end or to after the subject. Can you tell me where are the car keys is incorrect. Make sure to move it to the after point, the after subject point. Okay, let's look at the next example. How long is the movie? How long is the movie? Here the be verb is. So we need to move this after the subject. Here's our sample embedded question with this grammar. Do you know how long the movie is? Do you know? Introduces the embedded question. How long the movie is. Again, we moved is from this position before the subject to this position after the subject. One more example of this. Why is the city so polluted? Why is the city so polluted? Polluted means it's filled with maybe dirt, trash, it's poor quality air, and so on. So why is the city so polluted? Again, we have this be verb here, and here's our subject, the city. So here's a sample embedded question. I wonder why the city is so polluted. I wonder why the city is so polluted. So please note, we don't move the be verb always to the end of the sentence. We move it after the subject, like we see here. The city is our subject, so we put it after the subject in this position. I wonder why the city is so polluted. Also, another thing that's important to note that you can see here is that although these are called embedded questions because there's a question inside something else, we don't always need to use a question mark at the end. In this case and in this case, we're asking a question, right? Can you tell me? And do you know? But this one, I wonder. It's like we're thinking about something. I wonder why. This is not a question, so we use a period at the end of this. So keep this in mind. Sometimes it's a question, and we should use a question mark. Sometimes it's not, so just use a period, or maybe an exclamation point. Okay, great. So this is our first point about be embedded questions that use be. Now, let's take a look at another thing we need to consider. That's when our question uses the auxiliary or the helping verb do. So we saw an example of this here. What time does the bus leave? We saw this here. Here's my verb, our auxiliary does. We changed this to, can you tell me what time the bus leaves? So in this part, you might notice there's no does, right? Why is that? That's because of an interesting rule we need to consider. So in these cases, we remove that do or does or did, and we use the verb, the other verb that's in the question. So what does this look like? Here are a couple of quick examples. Our direct question, where did he go? Where did he go? In this case, we have past tense, yeah? Did. Right? And our verb here is go, right? So to follow this rule, we need to remove this auxiliary, this helping word, and we use the verb that's in the question instead. We also need to make sure this change uses the same tense as the original helping verb. So what does this look like? Here's a sample. Do you know where he went? Do you know where he went? So, do you know introduces the question. Where he went. We use went because it's the past tense form of the verb that was in the question before. We have no did here. So, not do you know where did he went? Incorrect. That's a very common type of mistake I see with learners. Do you know where he went? It's the perfect way to create this type of embedded question. Let's look at one more example. What time does she start work? What time does she start work? So again, we have does here, does, all right? So we need to remove that, and we have this start in this case. We have the verb start. So what's a sample sentence here? I'm not sure what time she starts work. I'm not sure what time, so we have this part, remains the same, what time she starts work. So we have our verb here matching the tense of the sentence. In this case, this is a present tense sentence, right? So we have the present tense verb structure applied. She starts work, right? So keep in mind, we always have to use the same tense the does is used in the original question, but we have to remove that does and use that tense for the verb that's actually in the sentence. So this one can be a little bit tricky to remember. It's kind of a special grammar point, but this is how we use the do verb rule with embedded questions. Okay, great. So one more quick point about this is if you have a question like this, who ate my sandwich? There's no be verb and there's no do verb. Lucky you, there's no change. So who ate my sandwich? A question like this that doesn't have this verb or this verb doesn't require any change. We can simply use it in the embedded question as it is. Who ate my sandwich? Can be put into the embedded question with no changes. So that's the one that's easy to remember. So be and do questions are the ones you really need to think about. Okay, great. Let's move on to the last part for this lesson. Yes or no questions. So sometimes we have questions that don't have a question word, like who, what, where, when, how long, and so on. These are simple yes or no questions. So if there is no question word in the sentence, you can create the embedded question with whether or if. So if or whether. We start the embedded question with that. So what does that look like? Let's take a look at some very simple examples. Here, are they hungry? Or was he angry? Or is this vegetarian? So none of these have a who, what, where, when, why question, right? Simple yes, no. So how do we make an embedded question with these? First one, are they hungry? Okay, here's a sample question. Let's ask if they're hungry. Let's ask if they're hungry. This is our embedded question. If they are hungry. Yeah? Okay, next one. Was he angry? Was he angry? Do you know if he was angry? Do you know if he was angry? If he was angry, okay? And the third one, is this vegetarian? So meaning, is this food vegetarian? Could you tell me, introduces the question, could you tell me if this is vegetarian? Could you tell me if this is vegetarian? Oh, yes it is, or no it isn't. So keep in mind we can use whether or if, but generally if tends to sound a little bit more casual, a little bit more commonly used in everyday conversation. You may hear people using whether in this position too. Another point to consider, you might have noticed that we changed the be verb position here as well, yeah? So for example, are they hungry becomes they are hungry. And was he angry becomes he was angry, right? So we still have to change the position of the be verb here. And we add this if or whether before the embedded question, okay? So this is another important grammar point to keep in mind. With practice, it becomes easier. And there are some embedded questions that are very, very common. For example, could you tell me where the restroom is? There are some that you will use a lot and they will become easier over time. So the very last point that I want to make is about these starting phrases here. So these starting phrases we've looked at in today's lesson. These are some examples of phrases we very commonly use to begin our embedded questions. So for example, do you know? We looked at this earlier many times. Do you know something? Or can or could you tell me? Can you tell me or could you tell me? Could will sound a little bit more polite. Let's ask, or let's find out, or let's see. We can use these as well. We saw this here. Let's ask if they're hungry, or let's find out if they're hungry. Let's see if they're hungry. So this is suggesting, let us do this thing. We want to find out some information. The next one is, I wonder, I wonder. We saw this here. I wonder why the city is so polluted. So we can use this to kind of think out loud. And the last two, I'm not sure. I'm not sure. We saw this here. I'm not sure what time she starts work. So we can use this to express some uncertainty. And the last one, I'd like to know. I'd like to know. So when you want to politely request information, I'd like to know what time the bus leaves, and so on. So these are just some examples. There are some more as well, but these are very, very common. So, I hope that this lesson helped you understand what embedded questions are, why we use them to sound a little bit more polite or to sound a little bit less direct, and I hope that you are able to make your own embedded questions following the rules we talked about in this lesson. Of course, if you have any questions or comments, or if you want to practice making some sentences with this grammar, please feel free to do so in the comment section of this video. Also, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it and subscribe to our channel if you haven't already. Also, check us out at EnglishClass101.com for some other things that can help you with your English studies. Thanks very much for watching this lesson, and I will see you again soon. Bye! Hi everybody, welcome back to Top Words. My name is Alicia, and today we're going to talk about 12 phrases for preparing a presentation. Before we begin, a super quick reminder that there are free PDF cheat sheets for you to download from the link below the video. Just check the YouTube description and you can find this. This is the Business English one, but there are many different topics for you to choose from. You can work on your vocabulary, practice conversations, and okay, let's get on with the video. First is to set up. To set up. Okay, before you begin your presentation, you need to prepare. So maybe you need to get a computer, maybe you need a cable, maybe you need a TV, whatever. When we talk about putting everything together to prepare for our presentation, we use set up. For example, I need to set up my computer before the presentation. So you can use set up to describe this. Okay, the next word is projector. Projector. A projector is very commonly used in presentations. We connect a projector to our computer, usually with a cable, so that we can project an image. We can display an image on a wall or maybe some other surface to show our presentation information clearly to a room full of people. So the projector is a box that has a lamp, a light, and it magnifies. It makes our image larger. For example, is there a projector I can use? Okay, the next word is whiteboard. Whiteboard. A whiteboard is another very commonly used tool for presentations. We also use them for lessons on this channel. So a whiteboard is something that many companies have around to write quick notes on or to share maybe key information on. You might also see a blackboard, but blackboards are less common. Blackboards are black in color generally, or maybe green, and they use chalk. So they're a little bit messy compared to a whiteboard. So for this reason, whiteboards are generally a little bit more common in business meetings. For example, do you need a whiteboard for your talk? Next is slides. Slides. Your slides are the pieces of information that you prepare in presentation software. Like, for example, PowerPoint is a really common one, or maybe you use some other kind of software to prepare your presentation on your computer. Your slides are those individual, like image type things. They look kind of like images on the screen, but you put all of the data inside them. So a slide is the singular form, slides is the plural form. For example, he had way too many slides in his presentation. Okay, let's get to the next one. The next expression is, can we go to the next slide? Can we go to the next slide? Can we go to the next slide is a question you can use if you are giving a presentation and you are not in control of the pace of the slides as they appear. So maybe someone is sitting at your computer or someone else is controlling it. You can request, can we go to the next slide, please? That's usually how it's done in a presentation situation. You might also hear this asked as a question from someone watching your presentation. If you're giving a presentation to your boss or to your teacher or something, they might say, can we go to the next slide? Meaning, let's continue the presentation. For example, let's talk about the next topic. Can we go to the next slide? Okay, let's get to the next one. Next is, can we go back to the last slide? Can we go back to the last slide? Okay, so this is the reverse of the previous one. So when you need to go back to the previous slide or the last slide, you can ask this question. Again, if you are not in control of your presentation on your computer, you can say, can we go back to the last slide, to mean to go back one? Or you might also hear this from someone that you are presenting to. They might say, can we go back to the last slide? I want to see something there really quickly. For example, I have a question. Can we go back to the last slide? Okay. Next is bullet points. Bullet points. Okay, bullet points are those small marks that you see in a PowerPoint presentation or in another slide format presentation. A bullet point is a short mark or a small circle mark or something like that that we use to show just the key information. Typically, we recommend that you use bullet points instead of writing long sentences on your slides because it's easier to show which information is important. For example, try to use bullet points to show the key information. Next is outline. Outline. An outline is a big picture look at the basic parts of your presentation. An outline generally is used for you. It helps you to organize your ideas. You don't have to share your outline with the people that you are presenting to, but it's good for you to do so that you understand all the parts of your presentation. You can start from the beginning, look at the middle, and work to the end. So creating an outline of all your topics is generally good. For example, it's a good idea to create an outline of all your information. Okay, next is introduction. Introduction. The introduction is the beginning of your presentation. Generally, in the introduction, you introduce the key topics, maybe current data points you're going to use, any specific things that are especially important to share with your audience. In the introduction, you give all of the most important information up front and tell people what they can expect to hear. For example, explain your main topic in the introduction. Okay, next is conclusion. Conclusion. The conclusion is the end of your presentation. It's where you have a chance to say your main points again, to cover any key pieces of information that you think are really, really important for people to know. For example, summarize your key points in the conclusion. Okay, next is, can I follow up later about that question? Can I follow up later about that question? Okay, this question is one you can use after your presentation. So when people ask you questions about your presentation and maybe you don't know the answer right away, you can use this. So for example, I don't have the information to answer that right now. Can I follow up later about that question? This shows that you're listening to the other person and you're going to work to do something to help them in the future. Okay, next is, are there any questions? Are there any questions? This is a great expression you can use to end your presentation. So by saying, are there any questions, you are inviting the people who are listening to you to ask for confirmation or to ask for clarification, whatever. For example, that's the end of my presentation. Are there any questions? This is a really great way to show your audience that it's their chance to participate. All right, that brings us to the end of 12 phrases for preparing a presentation. What did you think? You can let us know in the comments. Also, don't forget to click the link in the description to get your free PDF cheat sheets to learn more useful English words and phrases. You can download them to any device and learn for free, so click the link and check it out. Thanks for watching, and I will see you again soon. Bye! Hi everybody, welcome back to Top Words. My name is Alicia, and today we're going to talk about 10 ways to talk about your plans. A quick reminder before we start this lesson that there are free PDF cheat sheets for you to download from the link in the YouTube description. This one is all about useful verbs, but you can find a bunch of different topics and some conversation practice examples too. So check it out and download them all for free. Okay, on with the video. First, what are you doing this weekend? What are you doing this weekend? This is a very basic, very common and friendly way to ask about someone's plans for the weekend. You can use this question to ask what someone else is doing if you think you might want to invite them to do something with you. For example, what are you doing this weekend? I'm thinking of going for a drive. So you can use this to kind of preface, to kind of introduce your invitation. Okay, next is, any plans? Any plans? Any plans is a great and very casual question that you can use at any time of the week. It could be Tuesday, it could be Thursday, it could be Saturday, whatever. You know that something is coming up, like a special holiday or something interesting, and you just want to know what that person's plans are. You can say, any plans? For example, the weekend is coming. Any plans? You can use any plans before like dinners as well. Like, hey, Tuesday, the weather's looking pretty good. Any plans? Like, are you doing anything? Keep in mind, this makes it sound like you might invite the person to do something. So please be careful. Okay, let's go to the next one. I'm free tomorrow. I'm free tomorrow. So if you're making plans with someone and you're trying to figure out each other's schedule, you can say, for example, I'm free tomorrow, or I'm free Monday, or I'm free Sunday, whatever. You can express your free time with this expression. I'm free tomorrow. Want to do something? Okay, let's go to the next one. Next is, what are you up to on Sunday? What are you up to on Sunday? What are you up to on Sunday is a great and casual way to ask about someone's plans on a specific day. So of course you can use Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, whatever day you want. And this what are you up to sounds a little bit more casual than what are you doing on Sunday or what are your plans on Sunday. It's also very quick and easy to say. What are you up to on Sunday? It might become even shorter too. What you up to on Sunday? Or even what you do on Sunday? How about a movie? Okay, let's go to the next expression. Next is, the weather's not looking good. The weather's not looking good. If you made plans with someone to do something outside and it looks like it might rain or there might be some other kind of weather problem, you can use this. This shows maybe you're thinking about canceling or rescheduling. For example, the weather's not looking good for tomorrow. This can show that you may need to cancel, but it's not because you want to, rather the weather is not so good. Okay, next is, can we reschedule? Can we reschedule? To reschedule means to schedule something again. So if you have something come up, maybe you have a work thing you need to do, or you have another appointment you need to take care of, or some family situation, you can say, can we reschedule? To show that you still want to do something with that person, just at a different time. For example, I had a change of plans. Can we reschedule? Next is, I'm not doing anything. I'm not doing anything. There are two cases in which you can use this. One, you can use this when someone asks about your future plans, like for the weekend. Like, hey, are you doing anything on Saturday? You might say, I'm not doing anything. It means I have no plans to do something. Or you can use it in response to something like, hey, what are you doing? Like a phone call or a text from a friend. You might say, I'm not doing anything, meaning now. So you can use it in these two ways to show you have no plans. For example, Saturday, I'm not doing anything. Okay, next expression, I'm free whenever. I'm free whenever. You can use this expression to show that you are super flexible in your schedule. I'm free whenever means any time that's good for you is good for me, so I will make it happen. You can show that you're maybe very easygoing with an expression like this. You can also use it with another time frame. For example, this weekend I'm free whenever. Text me. This means that this weekend, in this period of this weekend only, I am free at any time, so please contact me. This sounds kind of easygoing. Next is, let me know when you're free. Let me know when you're free. This is a friendly expression, yes, but you're showing that the other person has the responsibility to get back to you. So maybe you have some things you need to do and you're not sure if the other person really wants to plan something. So you might say, let me know when you're free. So that means it's up to you to contact me to do this. For example, my schedule is flexible, so please let me know when you're free. Okay, next is, sorry, I already have plans. Sorry, I already have plans. So if someone invites you to do something and you already have plans that are different from that, you can apologize with this. Sorry, I already have plans. If you want to be a little more specific, you can say, sorry, I already have plans. I'm going for a hike with my friend. Or sorry, I already have plans. I'm having dinner with someone. So you can be a little more specific. If you're not specific, it might seem a little bit suspicious, but it kind of depends on the person and the situation. For example, thanks for the invitation, but sorry, I already have plans. All right, that brings us to the end of 10 ways to talk about your plans. What did you think? You can let us know in the comments. And of course, don't forget to click the link in the description to get your free PDF cheat sheets to learn even more useful words and phrases. You can download them to any device and print them out, whatever you'd like to do. Just click the link and get them for free. Thanks very much for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Bye. Hi everybody, welcome back to Top Words. My name is Alicia, and in this episode of Top Words, we're going to talk about 10 phrases for talking on the phone. Let's get started. Okay, so before we start, make sure you take a look at the link in the description where you can find free PDF cheat sheets to go along with this lesson. I thought this one, the Making a Phone Call Conversation Cheat Sheet, would be a perfect thing to practice along with this lesson. So if you want to get this, you can download these for free from the EnglishClass101.com website. So have a look, make sure you check that link. Okay, let's get on with the video. All right, the first word is hello. Hello. So we use hello when we pick up the phone, when we answer the phone, and we usually use a question intonation with this. So for example, when you pick up the phone, you could say, hello? Yes, this is Alicia. So if someone calls asking for you and you want to confirm, yes, it's me, you can say, hello? Yes, this is my name. So in my case, hello? Yes, this is Alicia. So make sure you use that question intonation with this. This is the most basic way to pick up the phone. Okay, let's move on to the next one. Okay, the next expression is, I will call you back. I will call you back. So when you want to end the phone call one time and then call again a little bit later, you can use this expression. I will call you back. Keep in mind, we usually use the reduced form, the short form. So not I will call you back, but I'll call you back. That's how we usually say this. For example, sorry, I'm in a meeting. I'll call you back. That means I picked up my phone once and I said hello to the other person. Then I apologized to say, I have to go to this meeting right now. Sorry, I'm in a meeting. I'll call you back. That means I'm going to call you again later. So you can use this if you need to cut the conversation once and then call that person again in the future. Okay, let's move on to the next one. Next is, please answer the phone. Please answer the phone. So please answer the phone is an expression you can use to ask someone else to pick up the phone, or if you're feeling very, very frustrated about someone who doesn't answer the phone, you might think to yourself while you're waiting on the line, please answer the phone. Or if you're feeling really aggressive, you might just say, answer the phone, which means please pick up. So please answer my call. For example, if you're with somebody else and you want to request that that other person answer the phone, you can say, please answer the phone. I can't reach it. So this is how we would usually say, please pick up the phone. You might also hear people say pick up, pick up, pick up, which means please answer, please answer, please answer. But if you want to sound a little bit more polite, you can use please answer the phone. Okay, let's move on to the next one. Next is, would you like to leave a message? Would you like to leave a message? So, would you like to leave a message is asking the caller. It's a question for the caller to say, do you want to send a message to the person you are trying to reach? So if you call someone and you get their voicemail, which means it's a recording on that person's phone, the recording might say, would you like to leave a message? Or something similar, which means, would you like to leave a voice message? So if, for example, you try to reach a business colleague, you have a business contact you're trying to reach, and you phone his office, you might get the reception desk instead of the person that you're trying to reach. In that case, if the person is out, the receptionist might say, he's out of the office at the moment. Would you like to leave a message? Okay, great. So that's how you use would you like to leave a message. Let's move on to the next expression. Next is, what's your phone number? What's your phone number? So, what's your phone number is the most basic way to ask someone for their phone contact information. What's your phone number? So, for example, let's talk later. What's your phone number? You can use this in business situations. You can use this in casual situations. In more casual situations, you might also hear people say, can I get your number? Or can I have your number? Or even give me your number if someone is being really pushy or really aggressive. But if you want to make sure you sound nice and polite, you can say, what's your phone number? What's your phone number? Or can I have your phone number? Okay, great. Let's move on to the next one. The next expression is sorry, wrong number. Sorry, wrong number. Okay, this is a good one to know for when you make calls. So every once in a while, maybe you make a mistake when you dial the number of the person you're trying to call, or maybe there's some kind of mistake with the information about the phone number. You use this expression when you call someone and you reach the wrong person. Like you're trying to reach your friend, but you call some stranger instead. They pick up and you say, hello, is this my friend? And they say, no. And you say, oh, sorry, wrong number. That means I dialed which means I input the wrong number, the incorrect phone number here. So number here means phone number. So you can use this to quickly apologize and say, I made a mistake, and end the conversation there. Another example, this isn't the movie theater? Oh, sorry, wrong number. Okay, let's move on to the next expression. Next is, I cannot hear you clearly. I cannot hear you clearly. This is a great one to know because this is an expression that we use when the connection is not good, when the signal is not good. So many people, I'm sure, have had the experience of being on a phone call, but the other person is difficult to hear. Their voice is maybe really quiet, or we hear a little bit and then we can't hear very much. So when the phone call is not clear, you can say, I can't hear you clearly, to tell the other person there's some kind of connection problem. You might have to say it a few times. I can't hear you. I can't hear you clearly. For example, I can't hear you clearly. Where are you? So maybe that person is hiking in the mountains, or maybe they're driving somewhere in a tunnel and the connection is bad. If you can get through and say, I can't hear you, or I can't hear you clearly, you can help the other person understand that there's some kind of connection problem, and maybe there's something that they can do about it. Okay, let's move on to the next expression. The next expression is, you're breaking up. You're breaking up. Okay, so this use of break up refers to the connection. So the connection in a phone call. Of course, we use break up to talk about the end of a relationship, when people don't want to see each other anymore. But in this case, you're breaking up, you are breaking up, means your voice is breaking up, or the signal is breaking up. The connection is not good. So this is another way to say, I cannot hear you clearly. You might hear people use the two together, like, I can't hear you very clearly. You're breaking up a lot. For example, you're breaking up. The connection isn't good. So this is another way that you can express to the person on the other end that you cannot hear them clearly, or there's some kind of connection problem. You might also say, you're breaking up. I can't hear you clearly. I'll call you back later. Okay, let's move on to our next expression. Next is, the phone is ringing. The phone is ringing. Okay, so the verb we use for the phone, the sound the phone makes, is ring, to ring. So when the phone starts to make a sound, we say, the phone is ringing. We can use this when our phone starts to ring, or when we call someone and we hear that the phone is now ringing. So there's that maybe sound, depending on which country you're in, you might have a different phone sound, a different ringing sound. So like a brrr, brrr, that kind of sound. We use ring to talk about that. So we would say, the phone's ringing. The phone's ringing. Maybe he'll pick up. Maybe he'll answer. We use that to talk about when a phone is actually active in that moment. So for example, the phone's ringing. I hope he answers. So you can use the phone is ringing to give a little suspense if you are calling someone, or you can also maybe use it in your house if you know the phone is currently ringing somewhere but you can't reach it. Like, the phone is ringing. Can you please answer it for me? Okay, great. Let's move on to the next expression. The next expression is, the line is busy. The line is busy. So the line here means the phone connection. So when we have a phone call, and we are currently having the phone call, someone else, in many cases, cannot reach us because we're busy. Our connection is currently being used. To express this, we say, the line is busy. The line is busy. So of course, some people also have call waiting, or they can accept more than one call at the same time. In that case, there might be a sound and you can change your phone call to the other person. But sometimes you'll get a busy signal or a busy sound. That means that someone else is already on the phone. We express this with the line is busy or it's busy. For example, the line is busy. I'll try again later. So you can use it's busy or he's busy or the line is busy to mean that person is on another call at the moment. All right, great. That brings us to the end of 10 phrases for talking on the phone. What did you think? You can let us know in the comments. And of course, let us know if there are other expressions you like to use when you talk on the phone. Also, don't forget to click the link in the description to get your free PDF cheat sheets and learn even more useful English words and phrases. You can download them to any device and print them out, and they're yours to keep. So you can click the link and get them for free. Thanks very much for watching this, and I will see you again in the next video. Bye. Hi everybody, my name is Alicia. Welcome back to Know Your Verbs. In this lesson, we're going to talk about the verb tell. Let's get started. The basic definition of the verb tell is to give information. A quick reminder, this verb often is kind of one-sided. It's like one person giving information to another person. Some examples. Please tell me what happened. I think I already told you this story. Now let's look at the conjugations for this verb. Present, tell, tells. Past, told. Past participle, told. Progressive, telling. Now let's talk about some additional meanings for this verb. The first additional meaning is to order or command. Some examples. Tell her to call me back. I was told to leave immediately. This meaning of tell, which means to order or command, requires the use of the infinitive after your verb tell. So in the first example sentence, tell her to call me back. We see to call or to call someone back is our verb. We've used it in the infinitive form. Remember, the infinitive is to plus the verb. So tell her to call me back. Using the infinitive shows us the command. So tell is like giving an instruction to someone. Tell her to do what? To call me back. That's the command there. In the second example sentence, I was told to leave immediately, we see the same thing. The speaker doesn't explain exactly who gave the command, but the speaker says in passive, I was told to leave immediately. In other words, I was commanded or ordered to leave right away. So when you want to use tell in this way, make sure to use the infinitive form of the verb. If you just follow tell or the variations in conjugation with a noun phrase, it just becomes passing information, like tell me your phone number or tell me the address, tell her your best recipes, for example. When we're not using a verb, it's not a command. So make sure when you want to command someone to do something, you use the infinitive form of the verb in this case. The next additional meaning is to recognize or to understand. Some examples. I can't tell you cut your hair. How can you tell he's lying? So in both of these example sentences, tell is used to mean understand or detect or recognize something. In the first example sentence, I can't tell you cut your hair, it's like I can't understand or I can't recognize, I can't see or notice that you cut your hair. In other words, your hair looks very similar to the last time I saw you. In the second example sentence, it's a question. How can you tell he's lying? Another way to say this would be, how do you know he's lying? So tell is used here again to mean recognize or understand. How are you able to recognize that that person is lying? We use tell a lot in this way. Tell is a very short and very quick and easy way to say recognize or understand, and it's very casual. We use this a lot in everyday conversation. You'll often hear, how can you tell? How can you tell? Which means, how do you know? So try to use this yourself. It's very, very common. The next additional meaning is to have an effect on someone, to have an effect on someone. Let's look at some examples. The stress of her job was telling on her. Their poor eating habits were starting to tell. So when we use tell, as in these cases, it's like there's some effect that's occurring because of another situation, and it's an effect we can recognize. In the first example sentence, the stress of her job was starting to tell on her. It was having an effect, yes, and maybe the effects of that situation are visible to other people. For example, her appearance has changed, or her attitude has changed, or something similar. So when we say tell, something is starting to tell, as in this case, it means other people are able to recognize or identify the situation. The second example sentence, their poor eating habits were starting to tell, we see the same thing. So there's some kind of effect. In this case, we have this negative effect, probably, of bad eating habits, and other people are able to recognize those bad habits, the effects of those habits. We use tell to describe that. Now let's move along to some variations in how we use this verb. The first variation is to tell somebody off, to tell somebody off. This means to get angry with someone for their bad behavior. Let's look at some examples. Our manager told off our new employee for coming in late all week. Your parents are going to tell you off for crashing their car. So these are situations where one person has caused a problem. In the first example sentence, it's a new employee who comes late all week. So the manager becomes angry, and the manager speaks angrily to the new employee, to the person causing the problem. So to tell someone off, the manager told off a new employee, means to speak angrily to someone about the thing they did wrong, about the problem they caused. The second example sentence shows us something the speaker thinks is going to happen in the future. Your parents are gonna tell you off for crashing their car. Means your parents are going to speak to you very angrily because you caused this problem, because you crashed their car. So to tell somebody off means to speak angrily or to shout at somebody because of something bad they did. The next variation is to tell things or to tell people apart. This expression means to be able to detect differences in people or to detect differences in items, in objects. Some examples. They're identical twins. I can't tell them apart. Can you tell these two pictures apart? I don't see a difference. So to tell two things apart, to tell two people apart, or to tell the difference between two things or more things means to be able to recognize things that are not the same among two objects or two people or perhaps more. In the first example sentence, it's about identical twins. So they're identical twins. I can't tell them apart means they have the exact same appearance. I don't know which person is which. Or it's difficult for me to detect the differences between these two people. They seem the same to me. I can't tell them apart. In the second example sentence, it's a question. Can you tell these two pictures apart? Means, do you see the differences between these two pictures? Or do you see any difference between these two pictures? The speaker is having trouble finding something that's different, so they ask a question. So to tell something apart means to be able to distinguish one thing from another thing. Typically, these things are very similar. So there's maybe just small points of difference. So to tell something apart or to tell the difference between two things. The next variation is to tell on someone, to tell on someone. This means to report someone's wrongdoing or bad behavior to a person of authority. Let's look at some examples. My little brother told on me. You broke mom's phone. I'm going to tell on you. So to tell on someone means to report that someone did something bad. This is an expression that is used a lot among children. We typically use it as children for like household problems, like breaking something, as we see in the second example sentence, or like everyday mischief. We can use it for larger problems, especially as we grow older, but adults who use the expression to tell on someone sound a little bit childish. When we report someone else's wrongdoing for just a simple, like everyday problem, it sounds a little bit childish. But this is something we typically use as children or when talking about children or talking to children. So to tell on someone, we don't often include the person we report to. We don't say, I told my mom or I told my dad about this problem. We just say, I'm going to tell on you as a threat. Like, I'm going to report you to the nearest authority figure, like whoever is the adult in the room. I'm going to tell that person about what you did. That's what to tell on someone is. So as a result, in these expressions, we don't often say the person who is receiving the information. We don't describe that. So you might hear people drop it in like that, like, I'm going to tell mom on you, or I'm going to tell dad on you, if they want to be specific about who they're going to report to. We have another verb to describe this as well. The verb to tattle describes this exact situation. So if you find it difficult to remember to tell on someone, you can use the verb to tattle. To tattle is like this childish reporting of bad behavior. Okay, so we'll finish there though. So those are hopefully a few new ways that you can use the verb tell. If you have any questions, comments, or if you know some other ways of using this verb, please feel free to let us know in the comment section of this video. Of course, if you enjoyed this lesson, please don't forget to give it a thumbs up subscribe to our channel on YouTube, and check us out at EnglishClass101.com for some other resources that can help you in your English studies. Thanks very much for watching this episode of Know Your Verbs, and we'll see you again soon. Bye-bye.
Access your free language gifts right now before they expire. First, can you talk about how you're feeling in your target language? Get our new Feelings Conversation PDF cheat sheet right now and master over 40 words and phrases inside. Second, the Autumn Vocab PDF Writing Workbook. With this printable PDF, you'll learn all the must-know autumn words and phrases, and you'll be able to practice writing the phrases out as well. Download it for free right now. Third, can you talk about Halloween in your target language? With this quick 1-minute lesson, you'll learn must-know Halloween words like vampire, trick-or-treat, and more. Fourth, what are you afraid of? Public speaking? Spiders? Rejection? With this new phrases to express your fears lesson, you'll be able to talk about what you're afraid of in your target language. And fifth, looking for a new language learning app? With the innovative language learning app, you learn language.
Great work. Here's a reward. Speed up your language learning with our PDF lessons. Get all of our best PDF cheat sheets and ebooks for free. Just click the link in the description.